The Stuart Major Beam engine rebuild, and it's part 29, column fixing, water pump and flywheel. And from this clip, as you can clearly see, the 2 coats of paint on the column with my small paintbrush really worked out well. It looks very nice indeed. In the current clip, I'm placing a wooden block under one end of the bed plate because now this thing's getting really heavy, and it allows me to get a socket underneath the bed plate to tighten the nuts that are holding the column to the actual bed plate. In order to make sure that nothing moves out of alignment whilst I tighten these nuts, I'm putting a piece of packing between the cross shaft on the piston rod and the 2 mounting studs on the entablature. And for those of you who've missed the last episode, the entablature is the horseshoe-shaped bit at the top of the column. And I forgot in the last episode to thank the viewers who took the time to tell me about this. Thank you. As the paint on the column is not fully hardened, it is fairly essential not to clout it with your spanner. Do not bash your spanner into a painted part. This is the water pump assembly and some parts that I took out of the water pump assembly when I first dismantled it. I think the first thing to fit is the top cap. This is the part that holds the gland packing in place. This water pump is just a simple lift pump, and it contains 2 stainless steel balls on seats. I removed one of these balls as I removed the main seating. This is the main seating being refitted, and as you've already noticed, I have refitted the ball first. I'm sealing it with some Loctite 542 so that no air will be let into the system. With any kind of pump, it's important that air is not let into the system on the inlet, and the water is usually at quite a high pressure on the outlet, so a simple gasket is required. I'm not going to say a great deal about this, it's very self-explanatory. Get the gasket material, put the flange on the gasket material, draw around it, mark out for the holes, drill the holes the right size, but don't forget to punch a hole in the centre of the gasket. And once you've done this, you just cut out the gasket and fit it to the part. I cut out the gasket with a pair of scissors so it looks a bit uneven, but I can get it exact. Once it's fitted to the flange, I just run round it with a very sharp scalpel. Refitting these very tiny nuts with an equally tiny spanner is a very fiddly job. Irrespective of the size of your hands, they're very tiny. If you drop them on the floor, it's goodbye. Here's a very good tip. If you're struggling to get the tiny nuts to start on the tiny threads, then use a magnetised posi-drive screwdriver to hold the nut in position, and the friction of the 4 points of the posi-drive screwdriver will also allow you to run the nut a few threads down. Then you can finish it off with the tiny spanner. Sometimes I would use a nut spinner for this, but there's no room to get it in here. This clip shows the finished appearance of the pump, with its now nicely polished copper pipe, complete with the brass part that I made to cover the fact that the hole in the bed plate is now larger to allow the pressure fitting to go through with the pipe. So that's about it for this episode, I think. It's looking good. There's still a fair way to go. Oh, hang on, I forgot the flywheel. I have to paint the flywheel. But don't switch off just yet because I've got something very interesting to show you. This is the flywheel. And normally on a flywheel of this size and smaller, you would expect a keyway slot to be machined in the flywheel and a corresponding keyway slot to be machined in the crankshaft. But no such luck on this flywheel, and I think it's like this on the drawing. It's just a pair of grub screws opposite each other at opposite sides of the flywheel to hold it to the shaft. Now the first grub screw came out very easily. The second one was really difficult to remove. The amount of pressure I'm putting on this Allen key is nearly enough to break it, and the last thing I want to happen at this stage is for the Allen key to break off in the grub screw. I've seen this many times. Anyway, thankfully that didn't happen. By carefully removing the grub screw this way and occasionally backing off the Allen key in the opposite direction, finally the grub screw came out of the flywheel, which was a relief. I then rethreaded the hole using an M6 tap to take some M6 grub screws that I have plenty of. I'm glad that's over, so flush with success, I thought, I will paint the flywheel. It had to happen sometime. But look on the bright side. You're watching it speeded up a ridiculous amount. I have to do it in real time, and I also have to do it twice, and I don't video it a second time. That's it for now. I'll just play some nice soothing music so you can watch it to the end. The music I'm about to play reflects the season. Today is the 31st of October 2015, and it is Halloween, so I'm going to play some of my Halloween music. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful.